a game that was really good yesterday, and that's going to be the Falcons stay undefeated at home to win a thriller versus the Texans 21-19. The Texans came in winning two in a row. The Falcons came in losing two in a row. And the Falcons, once again, were a team that were coming fresh off the plane from London after a beatdown the week before, losing that game 23-7. And then they lost 20-6 the week before in Detroit. So this team was going through it a bit because, it was a kind of a new feel for in a sense, after those two very exciting road home games that they had to start the season off. They blew out Carolina to start the season, and then they had a very close clutch victory against the Packers, games that they used to not win, games that they actually used to lose. Then they go on the road, they lose, they put up two stinkers, wind up losing by double digits in both those games. So they come in as a slight favorite yesterday against Texas team that surprised all of us over the last 2 weeks. They got a big win in Jacksonville. They beat up on the Jaguars, they held them to single digits. Then they also went ahead and beat up on the Steelers last week, beating them 30-6. And CJ Stroud has been able to set all types of records and everything like that as it throughout his first 4 or 5 games of the year. He's actually set another record yesterday as well. So there was just big things happening. And also CJ hadn't thrown an interception as of yet either. So this was a pretty big game in all senses of the word when we went into it. But all in all, though, when you look at the numbers, Desmond Ridder was pretty much the star of the game yesterday. Desmond Ridder had 28. It was 28 for 37, completed 75% of his passes, and threw for 329 yards and had a touchdown as well too, and had a 111.2 QBR. Also, Bijan Robinson was able to hit the end zone yesterday. He only had 46 yards on 14 carries, but that touchdown was huge in the long run of that game because it really put things over the top for the Falcons, because when he scored that touchdown, they caught a lot of momentum at that time. So that was huge. Kyle Pitts finally had a really good game. 7 catches, 87 yards. Drake London had 6 catches, 78 yards. So those guys finally got their fantasy owners some love yesterday. So that's why I said Desmond Ridder did very well yesterday in this game. And you know what? The defense did not get any sacks, but they were able to get a lot of deflections yesterday that were key. They had 5 in total. And also they were able to just play a good group defense yesterday that was able to help them hold this game down. Now, you look at the Texans numbers, CJ was pretty good again, 249 yards thrown on 20 of 35, but this was probably his lowest completion percentage game. He only had 57% for this game, but last week against Pittsburgh, it was 53.3%. So when it comes to QBR, he hadn't had a QBR this low since opening week, where he was and he finished up with 88.9 yesterday. Opening week, he finished up with 78 on the QBR. So, CJ did the best he could do yesterday, but he was in a little bit of distress because the thing was Atlanta played good team defense. They might have not been getting interceptions and sacks and forced fumbles, but they were able to contain the very pretty good passing attack and keep things where they wanted it at. And they couldn't get anything going in the running game the way they wanted to. You had Pierce run for 66 yards on 20 carries, but that was it. And that's a lot of carries, and he didn't really get that many yards out the deal either. And they kept Tank Dell and Nico Collins in check as well too. Dalton Schultz was actually his big receiver yesterday. Dalton Schultz was able to score a touchdown, and he caught 7 passes for 65 yards. And pretty good game from Will Anderson yesterday as well, too. He had 6 tackles in the game, but it just wasn't enough at the end of the day. When I look at the numbers really tell me that the Falcons were the dominant team here. They were able to stay on the field as well, too. 50% of their third down plays went ahead and went well. They also had 74 plays to 58 as well too in this game. And then when you look at the rushing yards, that was pretty much the difference in this game. They got 96 yards on the ground and they got 351 yards through the air. So this worked out very well. This was probably one of their better games when it came to a total balance of offense, but especially in the pass game as well too, which people been begging for. So the game comes down to a final kick from Kuho. He got a funny name, so I want to make sure I say it all the way right because I don't want to be too. Yeah, Young Ho Koo. Yeah, Young Hoku kicks a 37-yard field goal to win the game. But CJ Stroud was close to having another big moment with that late touchdown that he did throw to Schultz. But it just wasn't enough at the end of the day. It just wasn't enough. And you know what? They just didn't get going the way that they got going in the first 2 weeks. And it's that simple. But Atlanta gets themselves a good win. They're 3-2 now on the season. They find themselves in position to be one of the better teams in the NFC right now, but it's still early in the season, but they got a big opportunity to actually go ahead and really make some noise in the NFC South as well too. So with that, we're going to go ahead and move forward to our next and it's going to be this. Thank you for tuning in all